So first off, I just woke up. I'm tired. If my thoughts aren't all there at once, I apologize in advance, just saying. So I'm here to talk about COPPA finally. I wanted to write a script for this just to properly organize my thoughts, but I've been taking too long as it is, and I just feel like this is important to talk about now, because the sooner we talk about it, the more chances we have to actually comment on the FTC site and try to help them make changes that more appropriately fit YouTube. Let's talk about what COPPA is. Quickly, COPPA is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act that was enacted in 1998. And I've heard a lot of people talk about that point specifically, that it was done in 98. Things in 98 on the internet are a lot different than they are today. Whatever, words make sense. So everyone's been focusing on that point, but I haven't heard anybody talk about that it was actually amended in 2012. So this has been updated as of 2012 and going into the new year 2020, but it's actually going to be updated again because of this whole YouTube thing going on. So we have a chance to actually, let them hear our voices. So that's why I'm talking about this again. But what COPPA is, it's here to protect kids under 13. So basically, anybody who runs a website or an app, or I guess now YouTube content creator, but this doesn't really apply to content creators as much, but what they're here for is to help protect them by not letting you collect any information on them without parental consent. So usually a lot of websites and apps will collect data on somebody to show them targeted ads mostly. That's mostly how it works. And also, some apps can be creepy, but that's neither here nor there. But that's what COPPA is here for, which I totally agree with. That's fine. You're protecting kids under 13. I have no issue with that. But the issue is YouTube went ahead and collected children's data illegally for years, and now the content creators have to deal with it after they got sued $170 million. While Google and YouTube paid $170 million, in another COPPA case settled this year, the operator paid total civil penalty of $35,000. This is talking about what are the possible penalties. So yes, YouTube was sued $170 million. It says right on the FTC site there for collecting data on people under 13. I don't have the actual source for that, but here on the FTC page, it does say they were sued for $170 million, which they paid. Obviously, if they got sued by the FTC for not complying with COPPA, obviously they were taking information from kids. So because of this, YouTube needed to create a mechanism for content creators to designate whether or not their content is directed towards kids, which is fine. I don't mind that. The problem is everything is so vague. That's the problem. Everything is so vague with this that it's just so hard to figure out what is and is not for kids, right? Because I'm sure you guys have heard, if you have bright colors or you have like children's music in it, you could be deemed as directed towards kids, even though the content is not at all directed towards kids. That's where the paranoia comes in, right? Because a lot of people just think, they read like, oh, one little thing and it's like, oh my God, like this is not meant for kids, but I could get sued up to blah, blah, blah. But here's an important thing I actually found on their website right now, because everyone's really worried about like the content. Well, like first off, let's actually talk about the factors the FTC will consider. So the subject matter, visual content, the use of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives, the kind of music or other audio content, the age of models, the presence of child celebrities or celebrities who appeal to children, language or other characteristics of the site. Not quite sure what that means. Whether advertising that promotes or appears on the site is directed to children, and competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience. Okay, cool. First off, subject matter. It's a little vague, but you can kind of understand. It's like, hey, don't do a toy review, right? Obviously that's directed towards kids, Where it gets really weird is like Minecraft, as Matt Pat has talked about. Minecraft Let's Players, because Minecraft is considered for children, even though it's actually for everybody because it's just a sandbox game. But because it's considered children's pastime or activity, technically that could be directed towards children, even if you're drinking and swearing while playing it. So that's some BS, right? That's where the vagueness comes in, and it actually gets really hard to tell whether or not it's directed towards kids, because it's ultimately it's not you who decides, it's the FTC. If they come across your video and say, hey, you're playing Minecraft, that's totally targeting kids, because kids only play Minecraft, not adults. But anyways, that's another thing. Visual content. Exceptionally vague. What do you mean by visual content? How bright the colors are? Like, how many sparkles you put on a video? How many cool special effects you put in there? Like, I don't, Like, I wonder, and here's another one, the audio, right? But obviously you can't have any recordings of a child without the parents' consent. So, like, you can't even, you might be able to pick some stuff off of Google still, or, like, just Google, like, or YouTube, like the Five Nights at Freddy cheer. But if they were all under 13 and didn't consent, or their parents didn't consent, they just had a recording randomly ripped from somewhere else. But I'm sure that was actually done in a studio, so it was fine. But you catch my drift. So either way, there's a lot of vagueness to it. But I want you guys to know I don't think it's going to be as bad as everyone thinks. Because here's the thing. What the FTC says right here. To be clear, your content isn't considered directed to children just because some children may see it. So that's a good thing. They understand that. That's one little thing that makes it a little bit better. So the right here, the determination of whether content is child-directed or not will be clearer in some contexts than others, right? But we can share some general rules of thumb. So unless you're actually affirmatively targeting kids, you're probably okay. But there's a lot of categories where you don't have to worry about COPPA. But this is where it gets weird. For example, if your videos are traditionally adult activities like employment, finances, politics, home ownership, home improvement, or travel, you're probably not covered unless your content is geared towards kids. So I'm sorry, what? Am I supposed to talk about, like, finances now on my channel? I can't play games? Like, welcome to Minecraft and politics. Politics suck. I can't, I hate politics. I don't. Minecraft and employment. Like, hey guys, I've been working at the shop lately, it's great. Like, hey, but home improvement. So once I actually redo this room again, that's okay content, as long as it's not geared towards kids. Like, that kind of stuff is just so bland and dry. Also, they say if your content includes traditional children's pastimes or activities, maybe child-directed. So, like, literally Minecraft could be considered child-directed, right? But here's the important thing. This is what really got me starting to think, like, hey, they actually do recognize that there are some little things that are going to be a lot different on YouTube than it would be on, like, a website or an app. Just because your video has bright colors or animated characters doesn't mean you're automatically covered by COPPA. They understand that. So that's something. And a lot of people haven't talked about that, and that's right off the FTC website right there. So that's very, very important. They understand while many animated shows are directed to kids, the FTC recognizes that there can be animated programming that appeals to everyone. That's a good thing specifically for animators, because if you look at, like, Happiness and Cyanide, or Cyanide and Happiness, I always mix that up, but if you look at that, that's obviously not directed towards kids at all. It's horrific sometimes. It's, like, just really disturbing, but it's really funny. And that is not content directed towards kids. There's a lot of animations like that, and they understand that. So that's an important thing as well. And as you guys know, okay, here's another thing I wanted to actually clear up as well. What are the penalties? Here's another thing everyone's been saying. 42 grand, 42 grand, 42 grand. Well, yes, you can be held liable up to $42,530 per violation, aka per video. The important part to remember is that's not going to happen to everybody. Someone like me, honestly, I'm probably not likely to even get charged. They'll just be like, dude, come on, either delete it or properly label it, because I don't make any money off of this. So they can't, like, actually charge me 42 grand. That doesn't make sense. Like, I could fight that. There's no, like, I don't even make money. Like, but anyways, so they actually talk about a number of factors here, right? On the FTC website, including the egregiousness of the violations, whether the operator has previously violated the rule, the number of children involved, the amount of and type of personal information collected, which doesn't matter for content creators because we don't collect information, how the information was used, same deal, whether it's shared with third parties, same thing, and the size of the company, right? Because we're considered kind of like companies. That's just how channels are considered, basically. So remember that if you haven't violated the rule before, you're not gonna have to worry as much. If the number of children involved, that's more so gonna worry, like, you know, when you're stealing their or taking their information, rather. Stealing, it's basically the same, right? Stealing. We're not doing that. We just violate the rule. They're like, hey, that was actually for kids. We consider that for kids. Can you just change it? And if you agree and you're like, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to argue with that. That's fine. You know, unless it's actually not for kids, blah, blah, blah. So 42 grand isn't going to happen to everybody. The bigger channels, yes, they might have to worry about that, especially if they really violated a lot. They're definitely going to have to worry about that. But for us guys, little guys to mid-range guys, it's 42 grand is like an extreme worst case scenario. So just keep that in mind. And the worst part is, like, you can't actually just put a blanket statement over top of this and say, hey, my channel's not intended for kids under 13 and do whatever you want, play Minecraft. You can't do that because at the end of the day, it's the FTC that decides whether or not your content is directed towards kids, not you. Even if you're playing, like I said, Drunk Minecraft, Roblox, it's geared towards kids because of the content of it. Like if you're playing Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat or something like that, then that's different. There's a little bit of vagueness because video games can be considered a child's pastime, but obviously you can tell the content in those video games specifically are not geared towards kids. So yet again, it's very scary. But like I said, I'm sure everything will be a lot better than people think. Because the important part is to remember too is that it even says right here at the very, very top, right here. All right, so right at the very top of this entire FAQ talking about COPPA, it says this document represents the views of FTC staff and is not binding on the commission. So, because they're still working on a new amended rule. Again, so remember, most of this stuff is not 100% binding yet. And I think I've talked about enough of it. It's mostly, I just wanted to basically this whole video is me just trying to clear up a lot of things where people were really, really, really worried about, and kind of how I think it's actually not going to be as bad as people think. But the scary thing is, there is definitely that potential. There's no doubt about it. There's a potential of it being that bad. But I think people are just kind of really freaking out because it is just kind of overwhelming and scary all at once. And they kind of didn't give us a lot of information until we dig into it ourselves and read a crap ton of stuff. Because I could have put a lot more information in here. I could have referenced a lot more things. I tried to have like as much proper info as I could just from the FTC website. So all this is sourced on the FTC website. I'll put the link down below. You'll be able to find all of that. But also the important part is you can comment on this. And I'm going to put that link first and foremost in the description. I'm probably even going to pin the link in the comment section because we can comment on this and we can tell them what we think is not fair or needs to be changed for this to work properly on YouTube. Okay? Now, when you're commenting, please be respectful because freaking out will not get us anywhere. It will not change a thing. If you are respectful, informative, they will listen. That's the thing. That's the important part. MatPat apparently broke the website with this. So that's awesome. And everybody was very respectful and had thoughtful insight onto this. So I want you guys, if you can, is maybe do a little bit of research yourself and figure out which thing you really want changed to help this work out on YouTube. If you have any suggestions to how to make certain things better, like the visual content, maybe that shouldn't apply to like a thumbnail, for example, right? Because thumbnails are very, very bright and colorful, trying to help anybody click on it. It should be more so by the content. Like, hey, if I had this weird thumbnail trying to get people to click, and I'm doing a toy unboxing saying, oh, this isn't towards kids, and I'm swearing, then that doesn't count. Like you're still doing something geared towards kids. So you know what I mean? If you guys can do that, that would be awesome. I'll probably comment as well, figure out what I don't like. There's a lot, but anyways, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to comment. I'll put all the links down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.